If you guys watched the first swan neck wing video, you guys would have realized, and when I talked about it, remember when I said I cracked and damaged my wing. There is a crack that goes along here, and I try to use fiberglass resin to seal it back up again. And I definitely think the resin, even though it is messy and it took a lot of effort, I do think the resin actually kind of sealed this in a lot of ways. But I don't want to have to be, when I'm driving, worry about this coming undone. I don't want to have to sweat it, and I know that the structural integrity of this wing has been compromised. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go pick up a different wing for $500. It is going to be even a wider, more aggressive, crazier wing. We're about to go see if this works. I'm going to bring my old bracket with me and see if we're going to like it on the car. When I put on the brand new wing, it's going to look very different, and it has rather of a Koenigsegg X or like 720S curve to the wing. So I'm going to hover it over, generally lay it to where it's supposed to be, and see if I like the width and the curvature that this is going to come with. So I know the angle of it isn't perfect and it looks a little crazy right now, but this is the general aesthetic of what we're going to go with. We're going to move up these end plates taller, and I'm going to have to turn this wing slightly whenever we're actually doing the final fitment of it. It's going to move a little bit, but we're going to be able to make it work. I think this is the aesthetic that we want to go for. It is going to be a change and a vibe to the car, but I think it'll be a good one. And fun fact, this is gold flake in the paint of it, which is pretty crazy. So this is what it looks like, and it form fits into the shape that this has, just like this. I don't know if that's too aggressive or if it needs to get leaned back a little bit, but I can make happen. But I think if it sits up inside of here, it'll look really good. All right, it is the next day, and I have it propped up on a box. But this is the aesthetic of the wing. Now, don't get me wrong, it is rather aggressive with the flap that comes up. It almost has a 720S curvature to it. It does have these brackets, which you'll see, which are the original mounting brackets, which you're supposed to use. The way that I'm going to be doing it is doing it from a aesthetic of the swan neck mounted to it. The end plates I moved to be as flat as possible. Don't get me wrong, it still could be flatter, and with the way that we'll mount it, it'll sit a little bit more like that. I think it looks pretty rad. It is very different, and on top of that, the gold flake that's in this paint is showing. That curvature that it has marked right there is exactly how I want it to sit. So we're going to do some mocking, and I'm going to put up the other end plate, and we're going to get this situated on the car. I was a really big fan of the old wing, but it was slightly too narrow, and it was rather bland as far as the shape goes. This is that old wing, and it is, I'll be honest, a good, generally good wing. The resin that I used for the fiberglass was able to repair this quite a bit. There is still the border of the crack, which you can kind of see is hanging out right there. So I'm going to need to sand this down and rework it, but I think it's fixable. As far as that wing, looks ridiculous. The other cool part is all of this hardware has unique branding, and it says on it Big Country Labs with their logo on it. So I do have to say the hardware is actually really nice. It has rubber backing onto the metal flat spots, and it's recessed, so whenever the screw is sitting on the inside of it, it can hang at an angle without putting any sort of wear or tear on it. It's kind of nice. So I'm going to grab a couple of these, and we're going to put on the other end plate, so we're getting a better vibe of it and a better look of it, and then I'm going to line up and see where on the car it wants to sit. So let's double check the measurement of the wing. It is 73 inches, and the distance between here and here is 22 and a half. Now, to make sure my measurements were correct, I am making sure I'm on the inside for both of these lines. It got moved over slightly when I was setting it onto here, but you guys get the idea. They are going to perfectly fit on the inside, and the distance from this to here is perfect with the 2-inch mark that I have marked on both sides. It means it looks pretty good. Now we're going to do one final walk around to decide whether or not this is the aesthetic of this car. So both of them lie slightly inside of where the duct tape lies. I'm gonna grab a Sharpie and I'm gonna line this up and mark it up exactly so I know where I'm working off of. As a rough estimate, I marked about 2 inches in on either side. So at the same point on both sides, I marked up where I want it in, and I marked where the center of the upright needs to be for both of these sides. You can really see the dazzle and the sparkle now. It's kind of crazy. I'm going to take off this sticker, whatever this sticker is. I'm going to take it off real quick. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring over our brand new upright mounts, and we're going to have to make some modifications to them. Instead of the rather flat profile that they have, I'm only going to be using these 6 holes instead of the 8 holes that they used. And I'm going to be using more secure rivets to make up for the fact that I'm using less holes. This is the bracket. The bracket looks like this. I'm only going to be using these 2 holes, and I'm going to round off this top before it gets up to there. So it's going to be this, but just slightly shorter. So we're going to cut off the excess, and then I'm going to sand down a nice ridge, paint this black, and we're going to mount this up to where it needs to be. So I just cut these down a little bit, but what we're going to be doing now is rounding out the edge of this just so it has the same aesthetic on both sides. I just cut them a little bit shorter because the shape of these carried up and they didn't match the same shape as the rest of it. So we're going to round out the edges, sand it down, but I can already see for a fact that these holes will be lining up, and I'll be honest, this wing is looking astronomically better than I thought it was.
Always spinning back, I don't even want none. You a different type of bad, I'll hit the gas if you wanna do something.
Now this thing is sick for a plethora of reasons. I'm gonna take these hardware off and I'm gonna reuse them as the new hardware up here instead of the simple bolts like these. They're starting to get a little bit wider and starting to crack around the edges. They just aren't the best hardware. So we're gonna replace and upgrade to those, and it's gonna hide any wear marks that the wing mounts have. But that is the final fit and finish. I did the mounting myself. I'm honestly really happy about how it came out. I didn't expect it to be this good. We're gonna throw in the final screw on both sides for the end plates as well. Yeah, so the wing mounts came off of FRS this guy owned. This big Country Labs wing came off of S13 that he owned. So they are reunited together on this. And these wings are kind of a combination. You'll never see a big Country Lab wing with swan neck mount ever. And I just made one just now. Ooh, the fitment on this looks sick too. Once we get all of this mounted, I'm going to show you my cyberpunk aesthetic, where I'm going to add this bracket that sits onto the back over here, and we're going to do a cable tie off the back of it. It's going to look absolutely ridiculous. Throw this on the car, and I'm going to go get some cinematics of it. I want to see what this looks like out in the sun and in its natural habitat. So let's go put this thing on the street.
You like to move like a silhouette, hard to see when you around, yeah. I'ma treat you like a hidden gem.